It could always be worse. Many of us are familiar with the story of a man who was constantly complaining to his rabbi about how miserable his life was. It couldn't get worse, he said. The rabbi, thinking for a moment, said, "Go home and bring the following animals inside your house. The goat, the cow, the chicken, and the dog." Sorry, cat lovers, it wasn't in the story. "Keep them there for a week." Confused but desperate, the man did as he was told. His house was soon filled with chaos. The goat bleated, knocked over the furniture. The cow stomped around mooing. The chicken clucked nonstop, and the dog barked wildly. And by the end of the week, he was absolutely exhausted. The man returned to the rabbi, who told him, "Now go home and remove each animal one by one." And as he took each animal out, his house grew quieter and calmer. And when they were all gone, the man realized how much better his life was than before. "I never realized how bad it was until I saw how much worse it could be," he said. And the rabbi smiled and said, "Sometimes we only learn to appreciate what we have when we experience something worse." There's no question that this story resonates with all of us. We sometimes do sweat the small stuff, or think that our problems are really bad. And then we hear of our neighbor's problems, or a situation that is worse than ours, and we seem surprised, and perhaps we realize maybe we don't have it that bad after all. By saying it could always be worse, though, is different than really being grateful for the things that we have in our lives. I had the privilege of working one High Holy Days with Rabbi Henry Glazer, a New York-based rabbi who is known for being the grateful rabbi. He says the following about his realization of why gratefulness matters. Revelations, he says, comes in many varieties. Mine arrived during a morning meditation. After a formal recitation of a morning prayer, I thank you for your gift of being. I was suddenly gripped by a torrent of uncontrollable sobbing. During these tearful moments, I experienced a penetrating awareness of how grateful I was, repeating it over and over again. Thank you, thank you, thank you. This text of my heart served as the impetus to examine the liturgy of Judaism and to discover the centrality of gratefulness for one's spiritual life. Rabbi Glazer lived and breathed these words in everything he did. He saw everything through this lens of gratitude. You couldn't help but smile when you were in his presence. And so in that spirit, today we celebrate the many gifts in our lives by offering you a sermon and song on gratitude. Our central prayer of gratitude in our daily liturgy is known as the Modim prayer. And the first selection you heard was by our friend and colleague, Cantor Sally Neff. And Cantor Neff serves a congregation in Nyack, New York, and composed this light contemporary setting for Cantor, Soloist, and two-part choir. And we had beautiful solos this morning by Sylvia and Denise. Thank you so much. And we hope that it helped to set the mood for our musical journey of gratitude today.
Danny Massing is an Israeli-born composer, actor, singer, and writer. Massing is known as a popular composer of contemporary Jewish liturgical music. He currently leads Makom LA, a spiritual community in Los Angeles, California. Massing was the star of one of the first TV shows in Israel. He came to America in 1971 to star on Broadway in the musical Only Fools Are Sad, under the patronage of Golda Meir. Massing has released a dozen albums and appeared as a guest star on numerous television shows. A much sought-after scholar or artist in residence, and in fact, we have welcomed Danny here at Holy Blossom. Danny travels the world inspiring, teaching, and rekindling the love of Judaism. We sing some of his pieces regularly in our services, including one of his settings of Matovu. Matovu, Matovu. Recognize it? And a favorite, Elohai Nitzor. Elohai Nitzor. You guys know it. In his unusual and complex setting of Modim that we are about to share with you, Massing hints at traditional chanting and then moves into classical musical motifs, such as counterpoint, which is the overlapping of different voices. Yet some of the passages and harmonies seem to have a more modern sound. Both the individual and the many voices of our people are heard in this expression of gratitude to the Eternal.
And this piece was originally written in 2001 at the consecration of Central Synagogue. Some of you know that Central Synagogue had a big fire back in the late 1999 or around there 2000s, and this was written specifically for when the building was rededicated. Aminadav Aloni grew up and was born in Tel Aviv in 1928. His European-born parents encouraged him to study piano, and after attending the Haifa Institute for Music, he eventually moved to New York, where he attended Juilliard and became a well-known secular composer. His true passion for liturgical composition came after he met Cantor Samuel Fortis, who encouraged Aloni to write music for the synagogue. And in his synagogue compositions, Aloni brought together his gifts in the areas of classical, popular, theatrical, sacred, and film music, as well as jazz in several forms, always with a refined taste and attention to the liturgical texts with which he was thoroughly familiar. Whatever influences he allowed to manifest themselves in these liturgical endeavors, the music was ultimately at the service of communal prayer. This next selection of Modim weaves together many of these themes and leaves the worshiper with a resonant sense of humility for the divine, the master of all things. Modim hanachnu lach, Modim hanachnu She'atahu Adonai Eloheinu She'atahu Elohei Avoteinu Le'olam va'ed Modim hanachnu Chayenu Magenu
Jonathan Commissar is an ordained cantor with a master's in sacred music from the Hebrew Union College of Sacred Music. With an eclectic musical background, a master's in classical composition from the Manhattan School of Music, Jonathan is a highly esteemed composer of Jewish-themed music throughout North America. In fact, 8 of Jonathan's local colleagues, including Cantor Rosen and me, commissioned a piece by Jonathan for Cantor Meisner's retirement celebration. Jonathan is also a composer for musical theater. His talent and musical sensitivity are extraordinary. Cantor Commissar has served on the faculty of the Debbie Friedman School of Sacred Music since 2009, teaching classes on music theory, arranging, and composition, inspiring students with his unique creative spark. In our final piece, in our sermon and song, a modern setting of Modim Anachnu Lach, in both Hebrew and English, and Commissar writes beautifully, he infuses the Hebrew text of prayer with his own words of thanks for the beauty which God has created all around us. The seas that roar a prayer, the stillness of the snowfall, the laughter of the children, are a few examples of the beautiful imagery in this setting that gives us a deep appreciation of the extraordinary beauty that we find on an ordinary day.
She'atahu Adonai Eloheinu, Elohei Avotenu, Ve'imotenu le'olam va'ed. Modim anachnu lach, Sur hayenu, Magin yishenu, Ator. Sun that rises in the east, for the seas that roar a prayer, for the stillness of a snowfall, for a breath of autumn air, for the grass within my fingers, for a mind that makes me whole, for the voice that God has given me to speak the truth with all my soul. questions.